The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Speedball Mike Bailey. You're listening to Keepin It Strong Style. Yosh.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here, solo this week. On today's show, I will discuss the road to Wrestling Dontaku, Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni, and cover all latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWworld.com. Frequently updated and with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. So as you heard in my little intro there, guys, I am solo this week. Unfortunately, the young boy Josh Smith had a family emergency. We postponed recording last night, Monday night. And we're holding off to tonight, but yeah, things, he needs to be spend time with his family right now during this emergency, and so I'm going to hold the fort down and give you guys, your weekly Keeping It Strong Style. We are the longest running weekly episodic New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast on the internet today. Since November of 2017, we have not missed a week of audio, and that streak will continue here tonight, today, whenever you are listening to this podcast. Rain, sun, or shine, there will always be Keeping It Strong Style. Might be a day late, might be 2 days late, but we will always be here to give you guys the audio that you want, the audio that you need. And we got lots of stuff to cover this week. And, hopefully, the young boy Josh Smith will be back next week. Also joining us next week will be friend of the show, Chris Samsa from sportofprowrestling.com. Also of NJPW1972.com. That's right, Chris has had a lot of great stat work going up on the official English New Japan website, so guys, make sure you check that stuff out when it goes up on their site. But Chris will be joining us next week to review Wrestling Dontaku and to preview Best of the Super Juniors 30. So big episode next week. Should be a lot of fun with Josh back and Chris Samsa on the show. Like I said, we got a lot of stuff to cover here on this episode. So gonna, run through stuff and give you guys what you need. So as you guys know, we're on this Road to Wrestling Dontaku tour. By the time most of you guys are downloading and listening to this episode, Wrestling Dontaku, the official big show of this tour, will have aired. But there's a lot of stuff that happened on the build up to this show. So I will give you a little preview of my predictions for that coming up here in a bit. But we had a lot of stuff happening on the Road to Wrestling Dontaku, and we also had the big Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni show. And there's a ton of news to talk about too. So let's get into it. So we'll start off talking about the Road to Wrestling Dontaku show that happened last week. The first one was April 27th from the Hiroshima Sun Plaza. We had an attendance of 1,614. So this show had a little bit of a different opening. So it's very rare that New Japan does this, but this show opened up with a mini press conference right before the main show started. So cameras went on. We had a table in the ring, WWE style, looking like a contract signing that you would see on Monday nights. But yeah, we had a table in the ring there and opened up. We had a little presser for the IWGP Junior Tag Team title match. So the challengers, Kushida and Kevin Knight, the Jet Setters, were there alongside the champions, TJP and Francesco Akira, Catch 2-2 of the United Empire. So we open up this segment here. Akira asked why they were even doing a press conference right before the match. It was making him angry. He thought it was disrespectful. Normally press conferences happen a day before the show or 2 days before the show. It's very rare that you see a press conference happening right before a show, especially right before a big title match. So Akira, very annoyed that their press conference happening at the beginning of the show, feels kind of rushed to him. So he expressed his anger there. And then TJP said that they have the titles for a bit. They will have the titles for a very long time. Currently, they are the second longest reigning junior tag team champions in New Japan history. And he said that he was looking past the Jet Setters and that Catch 2-2 will become the number one team, junior tag team in history, and they were going to get the longest reign. And that would have been possible had they defeated the Jet Setters. Best Super Junior 30 is coming up. They would have, gone through that tour, and then there probably would be a defense in June at Dominion. So this was a very real possibility at the beginning of the show that Catch 2-2 could have moved on and had the number one longest reign for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles. And we know that's kind of been the mission statement for Catch 2-2 this past year during his title reign. We've seen several of the backstage promos, TJP mentioning that, they wanted to go down in history as the greatest junior tag team ever. That a lot of people, they mention the Young Bucks, they mention Roppongi Vice, they mention Roppongi 3K, but Catch 2-2 wanted to surpass all those teams. They wanted to break their records. They wanted to have the best matches. And, this has been one heck of a title reign for the junior tag titles for Catch 2-2. So it was their mission and goal here tonight to retain the titles and move on to have the longest reign. So after that, we then had a presser for Hiromu Takahashi and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. They will be wrestling on the main event of this show for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. There was no English translations for us at the time, so there was some back and forth between Hiromu and Kanemaru. They signed their contract for the main event, and they had a little brief brawl. And so after that presser, that opened up the show for the opening contest. We started with the United Empire team of Aaron Hanare and the Great Okan. They defeated Oleg Boltin and Oscar Lube 5 minutes and 54 seconds. So Great Okan, Aaron Henare, both guys not really in a program right now. Two of the heavy hitters of the United Empire going up against, two heavy hitting young lions in Oscar Lube and Boltin Oleg. Which was a really short opening match up here. The wrestling between Okan and Boltin Oleg was really, really good. If you don't know, Great Okan has an amateur wrestling background, a lot of mixed martial arts background, and Oleg Oltin, another great amateur wrestler. He's a part of that Team New Japan amateur wrestling team, the official amateur wrestling team that Bushiroad sponsors, and these guys go out and compete in amateur wrestling matches that's coached by Blue Justice Yuji Nagata. So when these guys were grappling, it was great. And for those who don't know, I do also have an amateur wrestling background, wrestled all 4 years in high school. So I definitely have a little bit of an eye for some of this stuff with the grappling and exchanges. And when Okan and Oleg were grappling and doing their wrestling, it looked really, really good. Boltin Oleg, this guy is a freak of nature, and he's improving quickly. And we can't forget about Oscar Lube, the German, very fiery kind of personality. He's getting better as well. But these guys didn't get to show their stuff off for too long, as it came down to the end where Henare and Oscar were the two legal men, and Henare applied the Ultima, that's Hanare's version of the full Nelson, onto Lube and forced him to tap out. So your quick, basic opener, two veterans against two young lions. And we did have a question here from Rambone Slam Pig. And he says, what are your thoughts on the continuing evolution of Oleg Boltin? I thought he looked great in the match against Bishamon at Satsuma no Kuni. Bishamon really did a great job working with him as well. So we'll get to that match here in a second. But yeah, I think Oleg Boltin is looking great so far. Like we mentioned last week, obviously he's still very green. There's obviously still a ton for him to learn. But with all that being said, this guy looks great in the ring. I mean, his figure is very imposing. I mean, he has a build very similar to like Lars Sullivan from WWE. This guy's just jacked to the gills. He has that great amateur wrestling background. And, we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. Not all amateur wrestlers make the great transition into pro wrestling. But when they do, they're usually really great. Also, you think about Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin as some of the standout guys that made that transition from amateur wrestling to professional wrestling. And, a lot of the core of pro wrestling is amateur wrestling. A lot of the holds and escapes and grappling, comes from amateur wrestling. So if you're great at that, and then you can also learn the pro wrestling side of things and learn how to use that stuff as a work and to use that in the case of a match, a pro wrestling match, you can become really great. And so I think Oleg has all the potential in the world. Obviously, right now, it's too early to say, he for sure is going to be a future IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. We all thought that about Kitamura back in the day, and things just didn't work out quite that way. So when these guys are in the young lion stage, it's really hard to make predictions because you just never know what could happen. But if he stays on the track that he's on right now, I think he'll be great. I think he could be a future IWGP World Champion if he sticks down this path, if he sticks with New Japan, if he sticks with pro wrestling. It looks like he's learning a lot, and he speaks Japanese. I think he's going to get over very quickly with the Japanese audience. So after that, we had the Chaos team of Hiroki Goto, Toriano, Yo, and Yoshihashi defeating the House of Torture of Evil, Sho, Yujiro Takahashi, and Dick Togo in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So this is the ever-going feud, the never-ending feud, the feud that goes on and on, my friend, between Chaos and House of Torture. Seems like these two factions have been going back and forth for quite some time now. A lot of their rivalry revolving around the never openweight 6-man championships. So this match here, of course, House of Torture attacks before the bell and a big brawl on the floor. Eventually things get back in the ring, and towards the end of the matchup here, Bishamon hit the Shoto on Dick Togo to get the win. So this was kind of a real kind of fast pace matchup. A lot of it took place before the match officially started, and then once they got in the ring, it ended pretty quickly with the Chaos team standing on top. And we had a question here from the Dark Soldier. He says, I've heard people complain about referees in the States saying they're incompetent and dumb. Yet in Japan, referees allow freaking anything. None of them notice Evil's actions, and the recent Big Stardom show had a kendo stick shot right in front of the ref in the ring during the 6-woman tag match, and the ref didn't do anything. Why does Japan get a pass for awful referees and rule management? I think it's one of those things. First of all, Josh and I always kind of point out stuff like this, especially in New Japan, when it comes to Evil and the House of Torture. We think it does make the referees look dumb when these guys are, turning the lights off, they're getting the garrote wires, the pimp cane, the low blows, the chair shots. I do think it's ridiculous with House of Torture and some of the cheating that they're able to get away with. And we do see that across kind of the Puro scene. And also, that they do kind of try to cover it by saying, referees' discretion. But I do think it gets maybe looked over. And maybe you don't see as many complaints about it online because the match quality in Japan as a whole is just so much higher than the United States. And then also, too, I think most Puro promotions, and I think definitely New Japan, I think they do a good job of kind of pacing out the cheating and the interference. So you're not getting, overdosed with it. Meanwhile, you watch a American promotion, you watch WWE and even AEW at times where back-to-back matches have run-ins, interference, ref distraction, ref bump, the dynamite diamond ring being used, belt shots, chair shots, the bloodline running in. You see, that's a big kind of staple of Western wrestling, of American wrestling, kind of that interference, guys running in, ref bumps. And I think with Japan, the Puro elitists, the diehard Japanese wrestling fans, I'm sure they absolutely hate that kind of stuff when it happens. But we do know, Gato, the booker of New Japan, he loves Western wrestling. He loves Memphis territory. He loves the territory style, that Southern style where you did have a lot of heat, a lot of interference. And so that's why Gato's going to do that kind of stuff. And I think it doesn't get harped on enough because, you get this matchup here where there's interference, but then you're also getting, an excellent Okada main event. You're getting a Hiromu matchup. You're getting Ishii. You're getting all these great matchups. So it kind of makes you forget about the interference. So the next matchup on the show, we had the Bullet Club team of David Finlay, Kenta, and Taiji Ishimori defeating the team of Hikuleo, Tama Tonga, and Master Wato in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Another short matchup here. And this matchup is, building the two title matches that are happening at Wrestling Dontaku. So Tama Tonga will be defending his Never title against the Rebel David Finlay, while Kenta will be defending his Strong openweight title against Hikuleo. So we've been seeing these guys kind of going at each other throughout this tour as we get to these two big title matches coming up on this Wrestling Dontaku show. And another short match here that was really kind of heat-filled. We had all 6 guys brawling at the bell. Kenta really zeroing in on Hikuleo's knee to kind of soften him up for a title match and, take the big man off his feet. But Hikuleo was able to make a comeback. We had Master Wato coming in, looking good with some high-flying offense. But then the tables turned. The Bullet Club started working over Wato. Ishimori choking him in the ropes. But eventually Tama Tonga was able to come in. Him and Finley get into a brawl. Tama hits the Stinger Splash off of Ishimori. And then Ishimori tries to come off the top. Hikuleo catches him with a big boot there. And so they're going back and forth. Then Finley ends up hitting the Trash Panda on Master Wato after he hit a big spear, which led to a great near fall. Then he hit the Trash Panda, which I believe there's a new name for that move now, but I don't have it in my notes right now. But he hits that move, the neck breaker over the knee, gets the win. And again, another short, fast-paced matchup. So after the match, Kenta and Hikuleo, they're brawling, and as well as Tama and Finley square off as well. So I think they've done a really good job building up these two title matches, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the May 3rd show. And we did have a question here from Ethnic Dystopian. So what are your thoughts on the fan reactions to David Finley over the past few months? It reminds me of Jay White in 2017. Despite how sorely he's missed by New Japan fans today, he had his fair share of haters when he debuted as Switchblade. Do you think Finley deserves the criticisms he's received? Why or why not? I don't think Finley deserves a lot of the criticism that I've been seeing online in different circles. People who are, maybe even not even fully watching New Japan, but are aware of Finley being the leader of Bullet Club. Partially, I think it's just kind of perception being reality. And, unfortunately for Finley, most of his New Japan tenure, he's been booked as a mid-card guy. Started off more, he was a young lion first, and then he's kind of very slowly worked his way up the card, but he's really kind of stuck in that mid-card kind of range. He would have every once in a while some breakout matches, but you knew that if you saw Finley versus whoever, that whoever was going to win because they're facing Dave Finley. And then, they did do some good stuff with Finley and Juice Robinson as the Fin Juice tag team. And they had some great matches as a team. But again, eventually they got to a point as a team where it's like, all right, Fin Juice versus whoever, whoever is going to win because it's Fin Juice. And so I think, when you're booked that way for so long, you've conditioned the fans to be like, well, Finley is not a top guy. He's a mid-card babyface guy that's going to have some fun matches. He's going to team with the Hantai guys. He might have a Never program. He might have a U.S. title program, but he's not somebody to be seen as a main eventer, as a star, or to be taken seriously. We did see him kind of break out towards the end of last year as a babyface against Will Ospreay in that feud there for the U.S. title. But, at the end of the day, he lost that feud, and I think people expected him to lose that feud. And so now, fast forward, he is the leader of the Bullet Club. He got to the finals of the New Japan Cup. They are pushing him very hard right now, and I think fans are still holding on to what they know of how Finley has been presented all these years. Now, for me, I'm loving everything that Finley's doing. I've thought from day one of the heel turn that everything has been very well done. Finley has upped the intensity. He looks like a star. I love the look. He's really come into his own in this heel persona. I love that he's trying to make the Bullet Club in his own image. He's not just trying to ride the momentum of, the coattails of what the Bullet Club has been and has done. He's really trying to shape it and make it his own. And I think his matches have been better. His promos have been better. And this is the most that I've been interested in Dave Finlay since I've been covering New Japan in 2017. So I think a lot of people are not fairly assessing what's going on with Finlay. They're still viewing, that lovable mid-card Dave Finlay. They're not seeing what's happening right now with this new, more aggressive, sharper David Finlay. I think everything is going really well in his run right now. Will he be an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion? I don't know if he's quite ready for that just yet. But I think if he goes the way he's going right now, I think he can at least be a challenger. I think they've really set that up with his run in the New Japan Cup. So I think there's a lot of great stuff for Dave Finlay to come. So then following that match, we had the TMDK team of Mad Mikey Nichols, Hysterical Shane Haste, and the front man, Zack Sabre Jr. They defeated the United Empire team of Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis, 8 minutes and 6 seconds. So another pretty quick matchup here. So this matchup was building the upcoming TV title match with Sabre defending against Jeff Cobb. And then Aussie Open would have been getting ready to defend the IWGP tag team titles against Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols at Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni. So this was kind of one of the last bills for the tag title match. And again, they've done a great job building the feud with TMDK and these United Empire guys throughout this whole Wrestling Dontaku tour. So great kind of fast-paced, hard-hitting matchup here. Haste, they're able to hit the Tank Buster, that second rope DDT on Kyle Fletcher to get the kind of upset surprise win here. So you had the challengers pinning the champions, a great way to set up a tag title match, a great way to plant a seed of doubt in the minds of the fans. You see these guys, that they pin the champs, clean the middle, 1, 2, 3. It's possible it could happen again. So TMDK getting the momentum here going into the tag title match. Following that, we had the team of Strong Style, El Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, and Ren Narita. They teamed up with Shota Umino, and they defeated the team of Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Togi Makabe, and Tomi Yokohama, 11 minutes and 59 seconds. 11 minutes and 29 seconds. So story of this matchup here, Strong Style, they are the never open weight 6-man champions, and they're getting ready to defend against Kazuchika Okada and Tomohiro Ishii. And at this point of the tour, they were still looking for their third man. Okada, he had asked Yano to be his the third man for the team. Yano refused because he does not want to wrestle Minoru Suzuki. So these guys were still on the hunt. So kind of testing out Hanma and Makabe here in this 8-man tag. But things did not work out well for the Okada-led team here. But this match, another really good matchup here, and I really love the interactions between Okada and Narita. So Narita's kind of been the kind of the vocal one from the Strong Style team that called out Okada and has really been getting in Okada's face. And these guys have been mixing it up on this tour. A lot of great interactions, exchanges, reversals between Narita and Okada. I would love to see another singles matchup between these guys. But Narita, he's hitting all his big offense on Okada, looking great. That big overhead release suplex. Okada just sells that like a champ and makes Narita look really, really good. So a lot of great back and forth here. We had a Desperado and Ishii brawling on the floor. These guys have been locking horns in these multi-mans. This kind of goes back to the Capitol Collision in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago, where we had that special singles match with Desperado and Ishii. Since then, these guys have kind of been at each other's throats. A lot of brawling throughout the match, before the match, after the match. Throughout this tour, these guys having to be pulled apart. And so we saw some of that here with Despi and Ishii brawling all over the floor. But while that's happening in the ring, Shota hits a really suplex on Hanma for a near fall. And then he's able to follow up with the Death Rider, that double arm DDT from his, which he got from his trainer, John Moxley. Hits that on Hanma for the 1-2-3. Also, a lot of interesting interactions too between Narita and Umino being on the same team. We know that they come from the same young lion class, and so it's a race to the top for these two guys. Usually they're facing off, but here they teamed up. So it's always kind of cool to see those guys interacting in the ring together. So after that matchup, we had the team of Sanada and Taichi from Just 5 Guys. They defeated the LIJ team of Bushi and Shingo Takagi. So this matchup was really focusing on Shingo and Taichi for their upcoming KPOW provisional title match, the Takagi Triad style rules, and we'll get to that matchup here in a bit. But another pretty quick matchup here. Like I said, this matchup was 8 minutes, 14 seconds. So, all the matches on this card kind of flew by, nice quick breeze, and all of them had, heated rivalries, great stories. So these matches were really fun to watch. And like Josh and I mentioned last week, Shingo and Taichi, whenever they're in the ring together, it's fireworks. These guys have great chemistry, great matches every time they go out there. They did tease a count out here in this match. So remember the Takagi Triad style rules. It's a best 3 out of 5, and you have to win. You can get those 3 wins by pinfall, submission, count out, ref stoppage, or what was the next one I'm missing? I forget. So pinfall, submission, count out, ref stoppage, and knockout. So those are the 5 ways. And so in that match, you have to, once you win one of those ways, then you have to find another way to win. And so first 3 out of 5. So in this matchup here, they did tease a count out. These guys brawled to the floor to like 19 and dove back in before the ref got to 20. So kind of teasing the count out, letting fans know that in their match, a count out could potentially happen because these guys could just brawl on the floor outside, and you could get somebody being counted out there. And so after that, you had Sanada and Bushi mixing up, and Sanada was able to put Bushi away with the skull and sleeper. Actually, the skull and neck crank. A lot of people actually think it's a dragon sleeper, but it's actually a neck crank hold. So you got that locked in on Bushi. Bushi tapped out, and we got some, juice going here with Taichi and Shingo Takagi. So then after that, we got the lineups for Best of the Super Junior 30. So we know Best of the Super Junior 30 will take place over 12 shows beginning May 13th in Korakuen Hall. And it will conclude with a card from the Ota City General Gymnasium on Sunday, May 28th. So we're going to have a fast and furious Best of the Super Junior tournament. So in the A block, we got Kushida, first time in the tournament in 5 years. Also joining him, Ryusuke Taguchi, Leo Rush making his debut in the tournament, Doki, Hiromu Takahashi, Teton, TJP, Taiji Ishimori, Show and Speedball Mike Bailey making his debut in the tournament. Then in the B block, we have the Nova Fireball, Francisco Akira, El Desperado, Bushi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Yo, our good friend Robbie Eagles, Master Wato, Clark Connors, Kevin Knight making his debut in the tournament, and Dan Maloney making his New Japan debut and debut in Best of the Super Juniors. So really great lineup here, and we have some questions about this lineup. And like I mentioned, next week, Chris Samsa will be joining us to do a preview of that tournament. I'm sure he's going to bring a lot of facts and stats to break down and discuss, and we'll give our full predictions and preview for that next week. But I will answer some of the questions here and give a few of my quick thoughts, and then we'll move on with the rest of this card. So first from Les Commission 7252. He says, who do you guys believe from each block will be the standout junior? My pick would be Hiromu and Mike Bailey from the A block, and from the B block, El Desperado and Francisco Akira. Well, Les Commission, I'm pretty much in agreement with you. For the A block, I do think Speedball Mike Bailey is going to be one of the standouts. Last year, WrestleMania weekend, when I was in Dallas, I saw Speedball wrestle like 4 or 5 times that weekend within like a 3-day span. And every time out, it was a great matchup. So I have no doubt that he's going to go out here with some fresh opponents and have an absolutely great tournament. Also, I think Leo Rush, we've been waiting for Leo to be in this tournament for quite some time now. And so, Leo, he's been having a great run with New Japan. And so I think Leo Rush is going to be another guy that really stands out from the A block. Then in the B block, I think that, Desperado will definitely be a favorite and stand out. I think Robbie Eagles, he had the best match in the tournament last year with El Phantasmo. So he's definitely going to be a guy to keep your eyes on in that B block. Also, Clark Connors with this new heel turn, joining the Bullet Club, it seems like based off what happened on those Collision shows that Clark was kind of being positioned as Finley's right-hand man. So I think that push can help Clark do well in this tournament. And I think he's going to want to definitely grab this opportunity by the horns and really show out. Also, Kevin Knight, this guy, we're going to get to him in a second, but Kevin Knight, super athletic, super fun to watch. I think he's going to have a fun tournament. And then Dan Maloney. So, if you guys don't know, Dan Maloney used to be in NXT UK, got released there. Then he's been, all over the UK scene. He mainly wrestles in Rev Pro right now. Since leaving NXT UK and going to Rev Pro, this guy has gotten in phenomenal shape. He's been having some really great matches and has really upped his game a ton. And we reported a few weeks ago that Will Ospreay gave him a United Empire armband, and he accepted that. So he's in the United Empire, it seems like. And so we'll see kind of how his presentation is done when he makes his official debut in Japan. Next question here from MJSPR. He says, the lineup for Best Super Junior looks awesome. Which block is best, and what matchup are you most looking forward to? So let's see. Just looking at the blocks, I feel like both blocks are pretty even. I think I'm going to give the edge to the A block just because, you have Kushida in there, first time in the tournament in 5 years. You got Leo Rush, you got Doki, who's going to kill himself. You got Hiromu, TJP, Speedball Mike Bailey. I think that A block is a little bit more of a veteran edge than the B block, where in the B block you have a lot of young up-and-comers like Clark Connors, Kevin Knight, and Dan Maloney. and Francisco Akira, which all those guys are great. But I do think, A Block has more of that experience edge over the B Block. As far as what match I'm looking forward to, I mean, Speedball versus everybody. If you can't tell by now, I'm a big fan of Speedball Mike Bailey. So, him versus everybody in that A Block is going to be a lot of fun. Next question here from Barry Walsh. He says, not to be down on the guy, but do you think Taguchi should still be in the tournament? Is he just there as a junior Yano, or is it a sign that the junior roster is not as deep as the heavyweights? Just seems to me if Ishii might not make a G1, how can Taguchi still make the best of the Super Juniors? Well, Barry, at the end of the day, Taguchi, he's a dojo guy. He's going to have a job for life. As long as he can still go, he's going to be on these shows. He's going to be on these cards. And, personally for me, I agree with you, Barry. I don't think Taguchi at this point in his career should still be in these tournaments. I know a lot of people say, he's the night off guy. These guys need a one night break. If that's the case, why not just extend the tour out? I mean, this tour is being done in 12 days, or 12 shows in a short period of time from, 13th to 28th. So if you want these guys to get a night off, give them a night off, extend the tour, make the tour longer. You don't need to put guys like Taguchi in these tournaments or guys like Yano in the G1 and then say, they need a night off. Well, if they need a night off, give them a night off. And Taguchi, he's going to be doing, I feel like it's gotten worse and worse and worse. There was a kind of a running joke, back the first Super Juniors that we reviewed would have been the 2018 Super Juniors. And at the time, Josh was always like, you can't count out Taguchi, big match Taguchi. He won Super Juniors. I believe that was in 2012. This guy, and at that time, Josh was right, man. In 2018, 2019, Taguchi would still kind of bust out these big match performances, have these great matchups, and actually be one of the standouts in his block and have some really fun matches in the tournament. Well, now that's kind of flipped. I feel like it's gotten worse and worse every year. We're seeing more butt stuff. We're seeing more of his underwear, the pants pulling down, the kind of just goofy shenanigans. And I know he's always kind of been a goofy guy, but I feel like it's dived worse and worse into the shenanigans in a tournament like this. Like, I don't think Taguchi is needed anymore. There are tons of juniors around the world and in Japan that could fill a spot that Taguchi can be in. Heck, you can put a young lion in there. If you want a night off that's actually going to be a great matchup, why not put Oiwa in this thing? Fujita. Like, that, I think that could be a quote-unquote night off, but you would still have a very good matchup. So moving on to the next match on this card. These were like after this announcement, we got to the big three on this card. So first up, it was Tetsuya Naito defeating Doki in 15 minutes and 55 seconds. And Doki was seconded by Sanada, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku, his stablemates in just 5 guys. I thought this was a really fun matchup. Doki, we always talk about this man, not wanting to have to go back to Mexico. If you guys don't get that joke, Doki was a guy that, went to Mexico, I believe, at 18 years old. This guy, scrounged around those low Mexican independent wrestling scenes, indies where they're wrestling out in the dirt in the middle of, Tijuana or wherever they're wrestling at. This guy has been on the bottom floor of the Mexican independent scene for so long, and him coming over to New Japan in 2019 was a really big deal, a really big platform, and a big opportunity for him. And that's why he likes to talk about hipster luchadors, guys who they wrestle in CMLL and AAA on the big stage, but Doki, he grinded on that independent scene, and he thinks he has that the true lucha libre style. So that man, he doesn't want to go back to those dirt floors. So that's why this guy goes out here and literally kills himself every night. No regards for his body, uses his body as a weapon. And that's what we got here. I mean, as soon as the bell rang, before Naito could even get his shirt off, Doki attacked, hit a big suicide dive through the ropes. And, from there, Doki worked really hard, tried to get Naito to tap out with the Italian stretch number 2, which is also referred to as the Doki Choki on the English commentary side of things. So there were several near submission attempts with the Italian stretch number 2. A lot of brawling throughout the floor. At one point, Naito also was working over the head and neck of Doki with that leg full Nelson that he likes to do. But that didn't stop Doki. Doki was able to come back, springboard, back elbow for a near fall, top rope, double stomp for a near fall. Naito came back with a spine buster, hits a second rope blockbuster. Then they end up going to the floor where Doki hits a modified version of his Daybreak DDT to the outside onto the mat there on Naito. And near count out there, but both guys get back in the ring. Another near submission attempt with the Italian stretch number 2. Doki hits the proper Daybreak DDT for a near fall, and our man Doki here, man, he was feeling it. The juices were pumping. He thought he was close to winning. He tries to hook the suplex de la Luna, that modified dragon suplex-like maneuver, but he wasn't able to hit it. Naito hits the short Destino for a near fall, hits a brain buster, and then a second Destino proper. 1, 2, 3. Tetsuya Naito defeats Doki. Obviously, I don't think there was any doubt in mind that Naito wouldn't win this match, but it was just something different for what they typically do on these Orotu shows. A fun, singles match for Naito, good outing for Doki, and it also kind of plants the seeds and lays the foundation for a potential Naito versus Sonata title match, potentially at Dominion. Following that match, we went into the first title match of the evening for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. The Jet Setters of Kevin Knight and Kushida defeat Catch 2-2, Francisco and Akira, and TJP to become the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Big moment here for Kevin Knight. Just to show you how far this team has come and how far Kevin Knight has come. These guys first started teaming in the Super Junior Tag Team this past December. They had a finishing record of 2-7. In that tournament, they did lose to Catch 2-2. So kind of a full circle moment here where these guys getting built up to the point where they are challenging the champs in Catch 2-2. Also big for Kevin Knight for a couple other reasons. First of all, Kevin Knight is now the first man from the Shibata class from the LA Dojo to hold a championship in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We've seen Alex Coughlin grinding, and Clark Connors and Gabriel Kidd in that LA Dojo class, that initial class that was trained by Shibata and DKC. But Kevin Knight being the first guy out of that class to capture a championship. Also, it's a big win here for Kevin Knight because he is now the 5th African American champion in New Japan history. So joining the names of Bob Sapp, MVP, Ricochet, and Mercedes Moné. So kind of a real kind of cool moment here for Kevin Knight. Also, he made some comments online that this has been a really hard season in his life. His grandmother, who he was really close to, passed away while he was in Japan on this tour. So a lot going on personally here for Kevin Knight, but was still able to be on this tour and capture the junior tag team titles with his partner Kushida. And this match was awesome. And story, part of the story here, kind of similar to the story they told when Catch 22 was facing off against Team 6 or 9, where with 6 or 9, you had Taguchi, who was, kind of the veteran of the team. And then you had Master Wato, who was the young guy who was kind of learning from Taguchi. And then on the Catch 22 side, TJP is a veteran, and Akira is the guy that's learning from him. Well, so here in this matchup, again, Akira being the young guy learning from TJP, and on the Jet Setter side, you have Kevin Knight being the guy who's learning from Kushida, and even learning Japanese from him, which he used during that opening press conference. So you have that dynamic there. So a lot of times you had TJP and Kushida mixing it up. You had Akira and Kevin Knight mixing it up. But man, these guys, this was just a great matchup. Kevin Knight, man, this guy is super athletic, and yes, he's still a little rough around the edges. He's still a little green. That's to be expected. But this guy, super charismatic, super athletic. This guy, he gets it. He's getting over very quickly, and he was definitely a big highlight in this match with a lot of the stuff that he was doing. Big picture perfect drop kicks, planchas to the outside. He says, he called himself to fly, and he always says, it's time to fly. And that's a very accurate catchphrase for him, because when he's in the ring, yes, it is time to fly. It is Rich Latta Pro Wrestling time, and Kevin Knight, flies all over the place. And then obviously with TJP and Kushida, both guys, very great technical wrestlers, great submission wrestlers. So you have those guys, both targeting each other, trying to, Kushida looking for the hoverboard lock, while TJP, he has that inverted figure four that he does from time to time. Also, Akira came into this match with, injured shoulder. He's been having a nagging shoulder injury throughout this tour that's been taped up here. So he's been having to deal with that injury as well. But a lot of great double team combos throughout this matchup here. The team of Catch 22, they really did try at one point to isolate Kevin Knight, the more inexperienced guy from the Jet Setters team, and really try to work him over. But Kushida was able to get in there towards the end of the match. Kushida locks in the hoverboard block on TJP, but Akira makes a save. Also, at some point in this match, TJP gets busted open over his eyebrow. Not quite sure where or how that happened, but this guy comes up at one point in the match and his face is just dripping blood, which just obviously ups the intensity of this matchup. So he's dripping with blood. Kushida's trying to get him to tap out with the hoverboard lock. Akira makes a save. TJP's able to hit the Mamba splash onto Kevin Knight. And then they hit their move, their finishing move called the 2-2, the knee. until they hit that. TJP and Akira hit that on Kevin Knight for a great near fall. So, they've been finishing a lot of matches with that knee double finish, and it was on Kevin Knight, the inexperienced guy, the young guy. So when they hit that, I'm like, oh man, that's it, it's over. But Kushida makes a save, so great near fall there. And then Kevin Knight hits that, no hands jumping Frankensteiner onto Akira off the top. He hits that jumping DDT, and then him and Kushida, they have their new finisher called the Culture Shock, which is kind of Kushida kind of catapulting Kevin Knight again into that DDT. So he hits that 1, 2, 3 and gets the big shocking upset and captures the junior tag team titles, new champs, the Jet Setters, and they broke the hopes and dreams of Catch 2-2. So Catch 2-2, with this loss, they will go down in history as the second longest reigning junior tag team champ. So they will have to try to, capture the belts in the future and, work their way back up to try to break that title defense record. We had a question here from OK890. With Kevin Knight becoming a junior tag champion, do you think he gets a big push in his first Best of Super Juniors, or does he eat a lot of pins for future challengers while Kushida makes a deep run? Yeah, so obviously I do think, Kevin Knight going into Super Juniors as a junior tag champion, it's going to help him a little bit. But I don't think he's going to, come out with a lot of points because of that. It's still his first Super Juniors. He's still, a young guy. And so I think, he will. He's a guy I could see that goes 30-6 in Super Juniors, ending with 6 points. And then, you can create a lot of future tag team challengers based off of that. I mean, Akira is in his block, so again, you can continue the Catch 2-2 feud. You got Bushi in his block. Bushi and Hiromu can challenge. Kanemaru's in his block. Kanemaru and Doki could challenge him. Yo's in the block with him. You could have Yo and Leo Rush challenge Jet Setters. Clark Connors could team with Ishimori to go against the Jet Setters. So there's a lot of potential junior tag team challengers that could come out of Kevin Knight eating pinfalls in the B block. So I do think he is going to eat a lot of pinfalls. I think a story they will tell is, he's not quite ready to be without Kushida yet. And kind of the difference of when Kushida is with him and when Kushida's not. But I don't think he's going to go, 0 for 9 in the tournament. And then the main event here from this show was for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, the ticking time bomb Hiromu Takahashi. He defeats Yoshinobu Kanemaru in a great matchup here. And we know that there was some other stakes here to this match where in order for Hiromu to get his world title match against Sanada, he had to defend his junior title here against Kanemaru. And I love the VTR they showed before this match that really emphasized on just the history of Yoshinobu Kanemaru, former Noah GHC junior champion, former All Japan junior heavyweight champion. This guy has been, kind of a stalwart in puro junior Japanese wrestling throughout his career. The IWGP junior title has been one of the titles that's kind of eluded him. Obviously, he's a former junior tag champ with El Desperado when they were both in Suzuki-gun. But Kanemaru has failed over his New Japan run to capture the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. So that story was in the mix here as well. But this was a really great back and forth matchup here. You had Kanemaru targeting the leg of Hiromu. Kanemaru often goes to the figure four as one of his signature submissions here. We did see early in the match Hiromu try to apply the figure four and get Kanemaru to tap out, but he was able to roll to the floor and able to kind of regroup there. But then he was able to get the advantage again on Hiromu and work over that knee. And kind of a story we've been seeing here with these Hiromu matches, like he's just being beaten and battered in all these title defenses. So, very similar to the Robbie Eagles defense a few weeks ago. The knee is a target here, and Kanemaru was all over that thing, applying a half crab, twisting it, going for the figure four leg lock. But, Hiromu, he's used to fighting through the pain. He fights through that. It's the Falcon Arrow, hits some of his big offense. And also, Hiromu's also kind of seeing him almost kind of evolve into a power junior, hitting a lot of big lariats in his matchups as well. There was a great near fall in this match that was based off of the tag match that happened in Capital Collision, where Kanemaru pinned Hiromu in that tag match, where he does this like quick inside roll up, and then he turns the roll up into a Last Supper looking maneuver that like what Darby Allin does in AEW. So they did that same near fall here. Kanemaru he does the roll up. He locks in the Last Supper, but Hiromu was able to kick out. He does go for the Satori Surprise, his whiskey. He grabbed the bottle and tried to spit the whiskey in Hiromu's face, but Hiromu was able to super kick him and he spit the whiskey all out. Hiromu hits the Death Valley Driver in the corner. Time Bomb 1 for a near fall. Kanemaru goes back to the left knee once again, big chop block. A great figure four near submission, and Hiromu is so great at selling these near submissions. He's so close to tapping out, and he's just screaming and crying in pain. Then Kanemaru hits a big tornado DDT, moonsault, and then the deep impact, which is his second rope DDT for another great near fall there. Hiromu was able to come back once again, hits another Death Valley Driver, and then hits the Time Bomb to get the win. So really great junior defense here for Hiromu. Two questions here. First from OK890. Is this the best Hiromu has looked post-injury? If so, what do you think caused this change? Hiromu has been looking really good on this run after the last injury. And I think part of that is kind of this story they're telling with him wanting to be the longest reigning junior champion. I think it makes each defense more interesting to watch because you get invested with each defense and you're like, all right, is he actually gonna break the record? And I think he's just had there's been some more compelling stories around his challengers as well. And also too, I think with all the injuries he's accumulated over the last 5 years, he's had to adapt his style. And so I think he's been doing that very well. We're starting to see him, like I mentioned, become a little bit more of a power junior. He's doing a lot more power hitting moves. He's doing a lot of lariats. He's throwing in some power bombs, a lot more chops. So I think he's, evolving the style, still trying to do some of the high flying. He's not going out there and doing the big sentons to the outside like he used to do pre-injuries. But he's still doing some fast-paced stuff. He's still doing some high flying. And then he's also mixing in submission. He's doing that triangle choke he calls the D. I think all around he's just really kind of found ways to work around his injuries. Next question here from the Dark Soldier. Do you feel New Japan wasted an opportunity by not strapping the junior belt on Kanemaru? I feel like Kanemaru should have beaten Hiromu, then challenged Sonata for the belt, beat him, kick him out Shawn Michaels style, and cut a promo saying, "When we formed this group, it was supposed to be just 4 guys, not just 5 guys. It's time we came back to that. Then you run with Kanemaru as a double champion for a year and create a second world and junior title as a constellation prize." So a little dig there at WWE booking there with the creation of the new world heavyweight title. Obviously, this is a nice little joke here from the Dark Soldier. There's no way that Kanemaru was beating Hiromu here, and that would have been very bad booking, beating the guy who's going to be challenging for the world title at your next big show. But I do appreciate the effort here, Dark Soldier. All right, now we're going to review Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni, which happened on Saturday, April 29th from the Kagoshima Arena with an attendance of 2,120. So I'll kind of go through the undercards of this a little bit faster and point out any storyline elements that happened on this show. So first of all, the show opened up with Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi defeating Oleg Boltin and Toriano 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So this was a fun opener here. Bishamon, they hit the Shoto to get the win here. Another kind of short, fun opening matchup. Then after that match, we had House of Torture of Evil and Yujiro Takahashi. They defeated Oscar Lube and Shota Umino 4 minutes and 34 seconds. And this was one of these matches that had some of the House of Torture shenanigans. We had the ref distracted, which allowed Sho to drop Lube with a wrench shot, and then Yujiro followed up by hitting the Pimp Juice to get the win. Then we had the United Empire team of Aaron Hanare, Francesco Akira, and TJP defeat the Jet Setters and Tomioka Hanma 9 minutes and 5 seconds. So they're continuing the rivalry between Catch 22 and the Jet Setters here. So I think, again, too, kind of showing some booking here similar, what I was talking about with Kevin Knight and Super Juniors. He's now a champion, but his first match being a champion is a loss. Even though he didn't get pinned here, he's still on the losing end after becoming a champion. But I've been loving Catch 22 and Jet Setters, and every time they're in the ring is great stuff. Hanare got the Ultima submission win over Hanma here for the UE team. Following that, we had Great Okan and Jeff Cobb defeat Kosei Fujita and Zack Sabre Jr. So another preview for the Cobb Sabre TV title match. Really fun match up here. Okan gets the win with the Sheep Killer submission hole onto Fujita. So another UE win here. Then following that, we had Strong Style, Desperado, Suzuki, and Narita teaming with Yuto Nakashima to defeat Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Rihoi Oiwa, and Togi Makabe. So Okada and Ishii at this point still testing out who is going to be their partner. Another matchup with great interactions between Okada and Narita. And we got a similar moment to the Okada Kiyomiya breakdown. Obviously, it wasn't quite as impactful, but we did have a spot where Okada and Narita are just coming to blows, and they're doing a great job of really building the heat between Narita and Okada. Then end of the match here, you also had Ishii and Desperado brawling. Oiwa gets in there, and Narita hits a suplex and gets a hold on there for Oiwa, gets him to tap out and gets the win for the Strong Style team. After the match, Ishii and Despy, they're continuing to brawl all around the floor, and these guys are all over the place, and they just continue to ring the bell. Had security guards, all the young lions, everybody coming out there trying to break these guys up. And just when you thought the brawl was over, these guys would just get back up and just keep brawling. So really great intensity here with Ishii and Despy, and it's adding another layer to this rivalry. This never six-man feud. It started off as just a Narita challenging Okada, and it seemed like it was just going to be a normal never six-man match, but they've done a great job of making this a personal blood feud. You have Okada and Narita going after each other. You have Despy and Ishii going after each other. And so it's really making this never six-man feud very personal. After that, we had Hikuleo, Jado, and Tama Tonga and Master Wato defeating the Bullet Club team of David Finlay, Gato, Kenta, and Taiji Ishimori. So again, continuing to build up the never openweight title match and the strong openweight title match up here. So towards the end of the match up here, you had Hikuleo gaining the upper hand on Kenta. Tama Tonga's in, him and Finlay go to the floor, but he's able to get Gato out. He's able to get Gato back in the ring, and he hits the gun stun on Gato to get the win. But then post-match, Finlay lays out Tama Tonga with the shillelagh, and then Kenta grabbed a kendo stick, and he walked the dog with Hikuleo. He beat this man with that kendo stick. So ending here with a ton of heat, Bullet Club on top, even though they lost the matchup there. They're leaving with the heat, and it's a very interesting to see that Kenta is still kind of in the old Bullet Club mindset of, too sweeting the fans, whereas Finlay is, he's giving, the hard, cold stare to these fans that are trying to too sweet him, and he's not about that life. So again, really good stuff here, heating up these title matches. So then after that, we had the team of just five guys, three of the five guys, Doki, Sanada, and Kanemaru. They defeat the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, and Tetsuya Naito. So getting ready to heat up this Sanada-Hiromu matchup here with this feud. And this LIJ just five guys rivalry has been really great. A lot of great multi-man matches. We had the great Hiromu and Kanemaru match, and I'm sure by the time you guys are listening to this, we're going to have a great Hiromu and Sanada match. So Sanada was able to get the skull end neck crank on Bushi, and he submitted. So Champ gets some momentum here and continuing to build up this matchup with Sanada and Hiromu. So following that, we had the first title match on this show. It was for the IWGP Tag Team titles. The team of Aussie Open, the champs, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, they successfully defended their titles against the TMDK team of Mad Mikey Nichols and hysterical Shane Hayes. All the champs, they were cornered by Hanare and Great Okan, while the challengers were accompanied by the front man, Zack Sabre Jr. And man, these two teams have excellent chemistry. This was a great matchup here. These guys, there's a lot of history. Obviously, both of these teams being from Australia, TMDK being a team that Aussie Open looked up to as they were kind of getting into wrestling. So kind of like a generational kind of battle here. And these guys just have great chemistry. Aussie Open, man, these guys are having a phenomenal year. Every time they go out there, they're always having great matchups. Josh was saying on the show a few weeks ago that, he thinks that Aussie Open is the best tag team in the world today. And it's hard to argue that point when they're coming out here and having great defense after great defense. And This match was no different. You had a lot of great hard-hitting brawls here, a lot of great double-team maneuvers, a lot of great isolations of guys throughout this match. Nichols and Hayes, they try to isolate Kyle Fletcher as a guy to do their double-team combos on, kind of forcing Mark Davis to kind of, be the enforcer and bruiser and kind of come in and save Fletcher throughout the match. Like we mentioned earlier, like I mentioned earlier, in one of the previews, they were able to hit the tank buster on Kyle Fletcher, so they did that. Near fall here, false finish. So that was a great, call back to the 6-man tag. There was a spot where TMDK, they hit the Coriolis on Kyle Fletcher's. That's Aussie Open's tag finishing move, which was a great near fall. Mark Davis making a save there. You had Aussie Open. Eventually, they cleared the ring, and then TMDK, they hit 2 tank busters on Fletcher here, and Davis was able to break up that pin. TMDK, they go for their Thunder Valley double team maneuver. Fletcher versus that. Aussie Open, they hit their tandem elbow strikes, pair of drivers. They get Mad Mikey out of the ring, and they hit Shane with the Coriolis 1, 2, 3. And Aussie Open retain the tag team titles in another great tag team match. Their second official defense of the IWGP tag team titles. And let's not forget, they're also the current strong openweight tag team champions. After the match, we had Bishamon, Goto, and Yoshihashi walking to the ring, getting ready to call their shot, getting ready to say, we're up next. But before they could even do that, the House of Torture came out and they attacked everyone. They attacked Bishamon, they attacked Aussie Open. But luckily, the United Empire was out there and able to make the save. You had the whole Empire come out. Cobb came out from the back, and TJP and Akira. So the whole United Empire, minus Will Ospreay, was out there to run off the House of Torture. So it seems like we're potentially getting a three-way feud. Maybe it'll be Aussie Open defending against Bishamon and House of Torture for the next title defense. We had a question here from OKOK890. Says, I think New Japan needs more tag teams. How should they make more tag teams? By signing tag teams or pairing up singles wrestlers like they did with Bishamon? I think they did a great job in the World Tag League this past December, making teams and bringing teams in for that tournament. And so, at the end of the day, New Japan, they are not a tag team promotion. And just the way Gato books, he's just not a big tag team guy. So tag teams have never really been the focus, especially when since Gato's been booking. And so I think at the end of the day, we always for years on this show talking about they need to do more focus on the tag team division and do more stuff with the tag team, because there would be times when literally you have the same 3 teams just kind of back and forth. The era of War Machine and Killer Elite Squad and God, when those were your 3 teams, and it was literally those guys fighting for the belts all the time. But I do think they've done a great job recently bringing in some new teams, creating some new teams. And I'm pulling up the World Tag League lineup here. So obviously, you got Bishamon, you got Aussie Open, Hayes and Nichols of TMDK. Last year, Naito and Tanada were still a team. So we've kind of seen Tanada and Taichi team. So that's a team you can have there. United Empire, they have some multiple combos you can do. And that's a great thing about having, a faction-based promotion. You can have multiple guys in the faction be your tag team. So, last year we had Okan and Aaron Henare representing United Empire. We've seen Okan and Cobb in the past. So there's a lot of cool combinations you can do with United Empire. We see the Bebop tag team of Yano and Tanahashi. Last year we had Archer and Suzuki teaming up, but we have Strong Style now, so you could have Suzuki and Narita team up, Suzuki and Despy. You still have Fale and Chase of the team, House of Torture, and then last year Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin teamed up together. So I mean, last year I thought it was a very good feel of fresh and new teams and bringing back old teams. So like we mentioned on the show, New Japan has a great pipeline of talent between their domestic roster, the LA dojo, the New Zealand dojo, the partnerships with AEW / Ring of Honor, the partnerships with Impact Wrestling, the partnerships with Rev Pro, CMLL. There's a lot of avenues for New Japan to bring talent in. So domestically, I don't think they're going to try and create a bunch of tag teams, but there are a ton of foreign tag teams. I mean, there are a ton of guys from AEW that they can bring over. We don't really see them bring in much CMLL guys for World Tag League, but I mean, there are great teams in CMLL. You can bring over Rev Pro. There are guys you can bring over. So yeah, there's a lot they can do still with the tag division, but I do think you look at the tag scene this year compared to like 2017, 2018. I think the tag division is in a much healthier state than it was back then. So now let's move on to the big main event on the show for the provisional KOPW title, the Takagi style triad match. Taichi becomes the new provisional KOPW champion by defeating the Dragon Shingo Takagi 43 minutes and 40 seconds. So just shy 15 minutes of being an hour-long matchup. But I mean, these guys went to war. It was 43 really great minutes here. And a reminder of the rules here. So this was the Takagi style triad match. So you had to score 3 different victories, either by pin, submission, KO, TKO, or ring out. It was pretty cool. They had a bingo kind of card on the screen to help you kind of keep track of when guys got their different victories and what fall they did. So there would be like a pinfall column. Somebody got a pin. You would mark the X there. So nice little way to kind of keep track of what was going on here. But I thought this match had really great pacing. You know, these guys were going to go 43 minutes. Kind of started off with the big strike exchange. And then you had some quick pin attempts. So both these guys were trying to get their first fall here with the pin early on. You had Taichi trying to use the Gato clutch. And Shingo also trying to use the Gato clutch. Shingo also has that sit back, like that Cobra clutch, kind of that Cobra sit back backslide thing he does. I forget what he calls it, but that's one of his kind of quick flash finishes. He tried to get that, and then they quickly tried to move to submissions. Shingo tries to get a cross face on Taichi, but he gets the ropes. So these guys going back and forth, trying to get their big near falls. Taichi eventually hits, the big dangerous backdrop suplex, and he hits one. He gets floored, and they do a double KO spot on the outside. Both men beat the count. Back to their feet, and they're training big bombs, big lariats. Taichi's on a roll here. Hits the big last ride powerbomb, the Black Mephisto. And the referee starts checking for see if Shingo is knocked out. But he fails to get to his feet, and so Taichi gets a point there. And I kind of skipped over here the first points. Let's see here. So the first fall of the match was Shingo. They switched some quick pin attempts, and Shingo was able to. He used the Gato clutch to eventually get his first fall. So Shingo got the first fall with the Gato clutch and got his pinfall there. So then from there, that's when the crossface happened, and then Taichi goes to get his his first fall of the match. And so he hit a quick backslide, and he tied the score 1-1, and he got his first fall there. So then from there, that's when Taichi goes on that big roll, hits all those big moves, and then Shingo fails to meet the count. So he gets knocked out, and Taichi gets his second point of the match. So at this point, Taichi can no longer pin Shingo or knock him out. He has to go for a submission or a ref stoppage or a count out here. While Shingo only having 1 point in the pinfall, he still could have gone for submission, the knockout, the ref stoppage, or the count out. So after that second fall, Taichi, he didn't waste any time. He went on. He got the stretch plum, and he was trying to get a ref stoppage on Shingo. But Shingo was able to get to the ropes there, and he comes back, and he's trying to build some momentum, and they're trading just these big clubbing blows, and Shingo's not going down, and he hits the big pumping bomber and the last of the dragon, and Taichi fails to make it to his feet, and he's bumbling and stumbling. He's trying, but he falls down and does not beat Red Shoe's count. So Shingo gets his second fall also by KO. So then after that, both men here are going for their third fall. Shingo lands the State Dream before trying to choke out Taichi. He goes to the floor. These guys going back and forth. Shingo hits another pumping bomber, goes for the choke again, but Taichi reverses it into the dangerous backdrop suplex. More striking from both these guys. These guys are just killing each other, and they tumble to the floor, and they tease another a near count out here, but both men able to get back in the ring, get back to their feet, and they're just trading big strikes, big headbutts. Taichi lands a great front kick, and once again locks in that stretch plum. And I mean, Shingo here, he's struggling and fighting. And also, too, the great thing here about this matchup, you had both factions were out here in the corner. So you had Sonata, Taka, and Kanemaru and Doki in Taichi's corner, and you had Bushi, Hiromu, and Naito in Shingo's corner. And both sides had towels. So there was a point where Kanemaru's teasing, throwing a towel in. Hiromu's teasing, throwing a towel in. So that was another kind of added element here. So yeah, towards the end of the matchup, though, I mean, Taichi is just battering Shingo, and he gets him locked in this stretch plum. And Hiromu, he gets on the apron. He's contemplating throwing a towel, and he's crying and screaming, "Shingo, Takagi, Takagi, Takagi," trying to will Shingo to get out. But I mean, Shingo, he was out, and Hiromu, he refused to throw a towel, and he threw a towel on the ground. He didn't throw it in the ring, but Red Shoes, he stopped it. He called for it. Shingo, he was completely passed out. He couldn't answer the call. He couldn't intelligently defend himself. There was no way to escape. He was locked in the stretch plum in the middle of the ring. So after this 43-minute war, Taichi is your new provisional KOPW champion. After the match, big post-match celebration with just 5 guys, and they all hoist Taichi up on their shoulders as they celebrate him and his new championship and his big victory. And we had a ton of questions here about this matchup. First from OK890, says, has the Shingo Taichi feud turned the Yano Trophy into the number 2 belt in the company right now? I mean, yeah, it kind of has, especially with the U.S. title kind of being MIA with Kenny Omega here in America in AEW, and the Never Openweight title really has not been positioned to be the number 2 title. The KOPW title matches with Shingo have been excellent. The Aaron Henare triad match was great, and another great triad match here. And since Shingo's been in the KOPW mix, he's really made these matches really great. And They've been really fun to watch. I mean, some match of the year contender stuff here. And so, yeah, I mean, this feud has really helped establish KOPW. It's turned it from a goofy trophy to, a legitimate, feud with a title, even though it does have the stupid Velcro strap. It is it's been a great program, and it's really helped elevate the KOPW title. The Dark Soldier says, if 2 members of Just 5 Guys go down with injuries or spontaneously combust, will a stable only be just 30 guys? I'm going to say yes on that one. Heavenly Halberd says, has your opinion changed about keeping KOPW around ever since it turned into a stipulation-based high work rate title rather than the Yano Kami title? Or do you still think being stipulation-based and a provisional title isn't worth keeping around permanently? Do you think it'll stay the formula Shingo and Taichi have established over the past year, or do you think it will eventually fall back into comedy? A lot of great questions here, Heavenly Halberd. I think Gato is seeing success with how KOPW is being booked right now, and they main evented this show here. In the past, I feel like Satsuma no Kuni is main evented by a big title match, and so putting Shingo and Taichi in the main event of this show, I think it's kind of positioning KOPW to be a draw, to be elevated in main events, like shows like this. So I do think that I don't see it going back to comedy. I mean, they always can do that, but I think creating a title belt for it, having guys like Shingo and Taichi be in, contention and main eventing shows like this has shown me that Gato is more serious about pushing this thing. Now, as far as do I think it should still be around or not, at the end of the day, I think New Japan has way too many titles between all the IWGP titles, the Never titles, and the Strong titles. There's just way too many titles in New Japan. And I think there just seems to be a kind of establishing of what the titles are. I think that the titles are kind of out of flux right now. So, obviously, the world title, that's a great position. The junior heavyweight title, the tag title, and junior tag titles. It's when it comes to some of these other singles titles where the hierarchy is a little messed up right now. So, with what you got right now, it should be the U.S. title as the number 2 title. The Never title should be like that strong style, kind of hard hitting workhorse title. And then you would think you would kind of just not need anything else. But the U.S. title's been MIA. The Never title, actually for the last 2 years, the Never title after the what's the word I'm looking for here, guys? After the titles were unified, after the world title and the IC titles were unified, the Never title, they did try to elevate that. They put it on Jay White, and it kind of shifted from being the Never, hard hitting style to it trying to kind of be the number 2 title. But then the pandemic happened, and Jay wasn't coming over to Japan, and so I feel like the Never title's kind of been in a weird spot where sometimes it's the old Never style, and sometimes it's just something different. But KOPW has kind of turned into what the Never title used to be, where you have these hard hitting guys like Shingo and Taichi going after it. And right now, even though I think New Japan has too many titles, they are booking KOPW way better than they were from the beginning, and we're getting these great matchups, and they're not doing these goofy stipulations anymore. We're getting these innovative these triad matches. We're getting the Texas Death Match, last man standing style matches. So they're doing regular wrestling stipulations, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, and just making them way more compelling. at the end of the day, I don't think the title's going to go away. But I mean, like I said, I do think there's too many titles. But the way that they're booking the title, I think, has been great. And as long as we're going to get bangers like this, I won't complain too much. Next question here from Rambones Slam Pig. Do you think the recent variation in match length times with shorter main events mixed in has led to the longer matches like the Shingo versus Taichi match having a greater impact and feeling more epic? Yeah, I do think that's helped. We haven't been seeing a ton of over 30 main events. I feel like in a while we've had some 20 minutes. We've even had some like 15 minutes, I feel like. And so I think, when not every match goes 30 plus minutes, it makes the matches that do go that long even more special. And I feel like a match like the triad matches, they kind of need that length, especially, you're trying to, knock your opponent out. You're trying to get a ref stoppage, I think it made all sense in the world for this match to be this long struggle to get those 3 falls. So, having main events that are not going super long really does help the main events that do go long. Next question here from MJ Does PR. Thinking about the produce shows that Taka and Taichi have been doing over the years, do you think that gives Gato confidence in their ability to tell stories that will get fans invested in their vision of the top of the card? Obviously, I can't say for sure, but based off of how those Taka Taichi manias drew and kind of some of the booking, and a lot of people have a lot of match of the year contenders were coming from those Taka Taichi Despy Mania shows, and I'm sure Gato does maybe tap into Taichi for his feuds and even some of the booking of his storylines, and so I do think obviously anytime you put somebody in the main event of a show, I think there's definitely some confidence there. I definitely think there is confidence in Taichi's work. And I'm not sure how much of, Taichi's booking experience plays into what Gato does with him. I'm sure it helps. So after that, we had another Road to Wrestling Dontaku show that aired on April 30th, and this was coming from Kumamoto, and we had an attendance here of 1,655. So kind of go through these quickly as well, because at this point in the tour, these Road to shows are getting a little repetitive, and also it's a lot of the similar matchups, but they are advancing feuds and telling stories. So I'll go through the results here and point out any story elements here. So the first matchup was the House of Torture defeating the team of Goto, Yoshihashi, and Oiwa 9 minutes and 13 seconds. So no surprise here. House of Torture, they attack at the bell. And, we had a lot of House of Torture shenanigans here throughout this matchup. But once again, there was a ref distraction, which once again allowed Cho to use the wrench, hit Oi with that. And then we got the Pimp Juice DDT, and House of Torture got the win. Then United Empire, we had Catch 2-2 and Great Okan defeating the Jet Setters and Yuto Nakashima, 11 minutes and 22 seconds. So once again, Okan got the Sheep Killer submission hold on Yuto and got the win for the United Empire team. Then after that, we had Aaron Henare, Jeff Cobb, and Aussie Open taking on all of TMDK. They defeated them 10 minutes and 53 seconds, continuing to preview the TV title match, keeping Aussie Open and TMDK's feud alive. So really great stuff here. These teams, like I said, really great chemistry here. So towards the end of the matchup, Aaron Henare was able to get the Ultima onto Vegeta to get the win for the United Empire team. After that, the lights went out, and Davis and Fletcher were in the ring celebrating, and the lights went out. And when it came back on, it was Evil and Yujiro beating up Davis and Fletcher once again. Bishamon came in to make the save this time. And so post-match, Evil said, the tag team titles are going to belong to the House of Torture. So like I was saying earlier, it looks like we're going to get a three-way title program with House of Torture and Bishamon challenging Aussie Open. So after that, we had Kenta and Taichi Ishimori defeating Hikuleo and Jado. So building up the strong open weight title matchup here. And once again, after the bell, Kenta got the kendo stick and went to work on Hikuleo. David Finlay was in the ring, and Tama and Wato came to make the save. And Finlay and Tama were brawling a little bit as well, which led, actually, we had the Heyman special here, so this actually led to the next match. So Gato and Finlay ran out, and then Tama and Wato ran out, and so we got the Heyman special, and this started the next matchup, which ended up being Wato and Tama Tonga defeating Finlay and Gato 6 minutes and 33 seconds. So kind of a short matchup here, kind of playing off the last feud of last matchup and building to the never open weight title matchup here. So, a lot of chaos here. The ref's trying to send the first match back. He's trying to pay attention to this match, and Tama and Finlay here are going after each other's throats. But towards the end of the matchup here, Wato hits the RPP, that spiral tap maneuver, on Gato for the pin. 1, 2, 3, pins Gato, and another little scuffle with Finlay and Tama Tonga after the match. So then following that, we had Okada, Ishii, and Yano and Hanma defeating Desperado, Suzuki, Narita, and Oscar Lube. So Okada's team here finally getting some momentum, and once again continuing to kind of test out some tag team partners here, because the never 6-man title match coming up at Wrestling Dontaku. And so Okada's team, they get the big win here. Post match, Okada gets on the mic and says that Hiroshi Tanahashi will be the third man for the title match at Wrestling Dontaku. Hiroshi has been cleared to wrestle. However, Ishii was not happy with this. He did not want to team with Tanahashi. Tanahashi is not a part of the Chaos faction. I mean, even on Twitter, Chris Charlton did a great job of, translating Ishii's comments. He's like, Ishii doesn't want anything to do with Tanahashi or the Hantai faction. So now, Okada now has to convince Ishii to team with Tanahashi. So we're going to get a little, can they coexist with this never open weight 6-man tag team title? And plus, you have Ishii, who's just seeing red right now when he sees Desperado, and those two have been out of control. Narita's been seeing red for Okada. So there's a lot of combustible elements in this never 6-man title match that's happening at Wrestling Dontaku. Should be great. So after that match, we had the main event, the 8-man tag elimination match. The LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, and Naito defeated just 5 guys of Doki, Sonata, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. 20 minutes and 53 seconds. And this came down to Hiromu being the sole survivor in the Battle Royal, and was able to get Sonata flying to the floor. And, these elimination matches are always fun to watch. And, again, these teams have great chemistry. And, they're, giving Hiromu, some shine here, give him some momentum going into the title match. So really fun main event, and cool to see Hiromu kind of be, as a junior, being the last man standing in a match like this and being the sole survivor of the match and the sole survivor for his team. Then we had another Road to show yesterday, May 1st, from the Bibu Beacon Plaza. Had an attendance of 1,006. In full transparency, I had not seen this Road to show, so I'm just going to run through the results here. So we had Oleg Boltin and Oscar Lube going to a 10-minute time limit draw. We had Goto, Yano, Yo, and Yoshihashi defeating the House of Torture. Aaron Henare and Catch 2-2 defeated the Jet Setters and Rei Oiwa. Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, and Aussie Open defeated Fujita, Nichols, Hayes, and Zack Sabre Jr. from TMDK. Hikaleo, Jado, and Tamatanga and Master Wato defeated Dave Finley, Gato, Kenta, and Taiji Ishimori. Okada, Ishii, and Makabe and Honma defeated Despi, Suzuki, Narita, and Yuto Nakashima. The semi-main event, we had Doki and Taichi defeating Bushi and Shingo Takagi. And then the main event, we had Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito defeating the Just Five Guys team of Sonata and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. So, they're doing a really good job here of heating Hiromu up. He won the Battle Royal. He won the main event here. And so they're making him look like a credible threat going into the title match with Sonata. So speaking of that, let's talk about now the Wrestling Dontaku card. So like I said, by the time this episode drops, you'll probably be already know the results of Dontaku, or you'll be like me, avoiding spoilers all day until you can watch the show. But yeah, Wrestling Dontaku is happening tomorrow, May 3rd, from the Fukuoka Convention Center, and the show is sold out. So this Sonata Hiromu main event was a big draw, sold a ton of tickets. So sellout show here in the Fukuoka Convention Center for what looks like to be a great card. So I'm going to run down this card here and give my preview and predictions for all the matches here. First, there's actually going to be a dark match on the show, so it's not going to be part of the broadcast, but Rei Oiwa is having a hat trick challenge. So before the show starts, Oiwa is going to attempt to run the gauntlet of Yuto Nakashima, Boltin, Oleg, and Oscar Lube. If he could win 1, 2, or all 3 of the 5-minute matches, he can walk away with some delicious prizes of yakiniku barbecue with the grand prize of 200,000 yen's worth of meat and an NJPW world title shot if he scores all 3 victories. So I don't know why they're not airing this match. This seems like a lot of fun, a little mini 5-minute gauntlet of matches with Oiwa running the gauntlet here. This would have been a lot of fun to air, especially since it's leading to could lead to a TV title shot. And it's always fun watching the young lion. So not a part of the broadcast, but looking forward to kind of hearing how this hat trick challenge goes for Oiwa and to see if he gets his barbecue and gets his title shot. So the broadcast will open with the team of Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, Yo, and Yoshihashi facing off all of the House of Torture of Dick Togo, Evil, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi. And so, like we've heard in my reviews, House of Torture, they've been constantly attacking Chaos and Bishamon. So we're going to see this feud continue to spill out here. Both Bishamon and House of Torture, they want the next title shot against Aussie Open. So who knows, maybe a potential win here could give one team the notch over each other. I'm going to go with Chaos getting the win just because Dick Togo is in the match and he is the pin eater for the House of Torture. So following that, we will have Great Okan and Aussie Open taking on Kosei Fujita, Mad Mikey Nichols, and Hysterical Shane Hayes. So, kind of keeping the feud alive here with Hayes and Nichols against Fletcher and Davis. Who knows who might get another match with those guys down the road. But, these two factions have been pretty much feuding this whole year. So kind of continue to see that kind of spill out here with United Empire and TMDK. Also, we do know that, Bishamon and, like I mentioned, Bishamon and House of Torture, they want next. But if Nichols and Hayes can once again pin Davis or Fletcher, they could throw themselves back in the mix, could potentially have a four-way title match. But we do have Vegeta on the TMDK side. He's still a young lion, so he's a pin eater here. I can see Great Okan locking on that cheap killer on him to get the win for the United Empire team. Then after that, we will have the Jet Setters of Kevin Knight and Kushida teaming up with Shota Umino, and they will take on Aaron Hanare and Catch 2-2. So once again, we're keeping the feud alive here with Catch 2-2 and the Jet Setters. And we've seen Umino kind of teaming with a bunch of random Hantai guys throughout this tour. And now is being inserted here in this feud with Jet Setters and Catch 2-2. There's not a definitive pin eater in this match. I could see Catch 2-2 maybe pinning Kevin Knight so that they can get a rematch after Best of the Super Juniors. Or, you could maybe kick off a program between Umino and Aaron Hanare here. Maybe Hanare gets a win over Umino, gets him locked into Ultima, and then you do a singles between Umino and Hanare down the line, or maybe Umino pins Hanare, and that kicks off the feud. But I think the most likely scenario here is going to be Catch 2-2 pinning Kevin Knight and staking their claim for a rematch for the junior tag team titles. Then after that, we'll have the LIJ team of Bushi, Shingo, and Naito taking on Doki, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru from Just Five Guys. So this is kind of a continuation of the LIJ Just Five Guys feud. Also a follow up from the epic Shingo and Taichi triad match, and the Kanemaru and Hiromu match. So these teams have been feuding all month, all this tour, and we're going to continue to see it here. With Doki and Kanemaru teaming up there, once again, that can lead to them challenging the Jet Setters for the junior tag titles down the line. But with two juniors on the Just Five Guys side and just one junior on the LIJ side, I feel like the LIJ team is going to win. I'm going to call Naito once again pinning Doki to get the win for the LIJ team. And remember, guys, I'm recording this. This is Tuesday, May 2nd. It's now 9:44 Eastern time. So if you're watching the show and listening here, and I'm getting these predictions right, it just means I'm ahead. All right, I'm an accurate star rater and predictor. But if I get any predictions wrong, remember, it's EPO for entertainment purposes only. So moving on to the next matchup here, we have the first title match of the evening. So it'll be for the NJPW Strong Openweight title. Kenta will defend the title against Hikuleo. So we know Kenta captured the title from Fred Rosser after Juice Robinson helped him win the match, and Kenta has defended against Suzuki and Eddie Edwards, but as always, he's been cheating in those defenses. And of course, Wrestling Dontaku, it is the 10th anniversary of the Bullet Club, so I'm sure we will get some Bullet Club shenanigans in this matchup here. And Hikuleo, he's looking for his first championship in New Japan. This is the first strong openweight title match on Japanese soil. This title's only been defended in the United States previous to this. So, from one sense, it's pretty cool to see that title in Japan and kind of get it in front of the Japanese audience. And, they've been doing a great job building up this feud all throughout the Road to Tour with Kenta and Hikuleo, and how personal it's gotten. I'm sure we're going to see the kendo stick come into play. Kenta has been beating down Hikuleo throughout the tour with the kendo stick. He's been working on his legs. So I'm sure that he's going to try and use all the dirty tactics to retain the title here. This is kind of a coin toss here. I mean, it seems like they're trying to build up some momentum with Bullet Club, and so I can see Kenta retaining. But at the same time, Hikuleo, we talked about last week how they failed to follow up on the big Jay White win. So I could see a big win here, a big title change, and you kind of give Hikuleo some momentum to try and capture some of the juice from him beating Jay White. And I mean, he beat Jay White, a former IWGP champion. Jay White was in the main event of the Tokyo Dome this year. So if you're trusting Hikuleo to beat a guy like Jay, then I would say that, he could definitely beat a guy like Kenta. But because there's been so many shenanigans and interference, I'm going to go with Kenta retaining here. I'm predicting that some kind of ref bump, the kendo stick comes into play, and he beats Hikuleo that way. And then I could see them going to a rematch after Super Juniors and doing a no DQ match where then Hikuleo would then win in that scenario. So after that, the next title match will be for the NJPW World TV Championship, as the front man of TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr., will defend the title against Jeff Cobb from the United Empire. These guys are, no strangers to each other. Their overall record, 2-0 right now in singles, with Zack having the advantage over Jeff Cobb. So Jeff has never defeated Zack in a one-on-one scenario here. And these guys have had great interactions in the 6-mans and 8-mans on this tour. Jeff's power, this guy's, he's freaky strong, and it's the reversals have been great. Cobb will, try and toss Sabre, and Sabre will wrap around, get him a submission, but then Cobb will throw him out of the submission. And yeah, I'm really excited about this matchup here, especially with the 15-minute time limit. I think it's going to be fast, and I think there's going to be a ton of great reversals here. I've really been loving Zack's run with the TV title, and I don't think I'm ready for it to end here. And the whole reason this title was created, well, one of the reasons, New Japan said it's supposed to be for young guys. They wanted, young guys, young, fast, matches, high speed style of title. At least that's how it was described at first. But obviously you have, Zack Sabre as the first champ. I think Zack should retain the title until a young guy is ready to lift it off of him. So, Umino, Narita, Coughlin, Gabe Kidd, any of these, young guys that are coming back from excursion, these guys that have graduated from the LA dojo, I think are all really good candidates to eventually beat Sabre. I think Red Narita would be a great choice, considering, Sabre beat Narita in the finals to become the first ever NJPW World TV Champion. So yeah, I think Sabre should retain until a young guy beats him. But this should be a really fun match, and I can see Sabre kind of catching Jeff off guard with a O'Connor roll or some kind of wacky, British roll up and get the win here. Then after that, next title match will be the Never Openweight 6-man tag team title match with the champions Strong Style, Minoru Suzuki, Ren Narita, and El Desperado will defend against the team of Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. And man, what a matchup this will be. I mean, the team of Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii, that's like an all-star team right there of just guys who throw off great matches. And there's so much history here too. I mean, Ishii and Suzuki have great matches. Okada and Suzuki, Okada and Tanahashi, Despy and Ishii. We've seen the great interactions now between Okada and Narita. So I mean, this match is going to be great. And like I've been mentioning, they've done a great job really making a personal matchup with the way Narita's been stepping to Okada. The all-out brawls between Despy and Ishii, and even Suzuki getting in the mix. And then the whole added layer of Tanahashi teaming with Okada and Ishii not wanting to team with Okada. Not wanting to team with Tanahashi. And this whole thing of Tanahashi not being a member of Chaos. Tanahashi's a member of Hantai, the Hantai unit. And Okada is not... He could have picked the Chaos guy here, but he picked Tanahashi. And Okada has this obsession of wanting to win a tag team title of some sort with Tanahashi. So he's trying to make that dream come through here. Ishii, he's not really with it, but I think Ishii is more focused on Despy than he is with the fact that he has a team with Tanahashi. So I do think there will probably be some miscommunication between Okada, Ishii, and Tanahashi, while Strong Style has been a well-oiled unit since they formed. So I'm going to go with Strong Style retaining the titles here. Going to go with... Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if they want to lift these titles off of Strong Style because Despy's going to be in Super Juniors. Could potentially win that tournament. You don't really want him in the 6-man mix as a junior champ or junior challenger, maybe. Also, he's a junior, and there's 3 heavyweights on the other side. Man, this is a tough call here. I'm gonna stick with my initial prediction of Strong Style retaining, and I'm gonna say Ishii is gonna be the pin eater here. I think Ishii's rage is going to get the better of him here, and either Narita or, maybe even Despy. Why not? Let's have Despy hit the Pinche Loco and pin Ishii and get some comeuppance for the way Ishii's been battering this man all over this tour. And we did have a question here from Def Triangle 720. It says, when Yano rejected to team up with Okada for the Never 6 belts, do you feel it would have been better if Yano had said, I ain't teaming up with someone who's a fake Chaos member? What do you say? I mean, definitely he could have said that. Also, there's a lot of talk online about Okada's poor leadership of the Chaos faction. So, I mean, that could have been a very good claim there by Yano had he said that. Following that matchup, the semi-main event of the evening will be for the Never Openweight Championship. As the champion, Tama Tonga will defend against David Finlay. There's definitely some history between these guys, with Tama and his brother Tangaloa as GOD against Finlay and Juice as FinJuice. These guys have also faced off in singles action before twice. Tama Tonga has beaten Finlay twice, so Tama has that edge 2-0 over Finlay in their singles history. And like I've been saying, they've done a great job of building up this rivalry, this feud, making it really personal. And Finlay, laying out Tama with the shillelagh shots on this tour. And I think this is the real big moment here for David Finlay. I think he's going to beat Tama Tonga here and capture the never openweight title. And we're going to continue to see the push of David Finlay and the ascension of David Finlay. And I think he could do something cool with the never title, but I expect this one to be very hard hitting, very intense, very fast paced. And with it being the Bullet Club anniversary, I expect there to be some kind of Bullet Club angle here. You know, the one thing that we have yet to see with Finlay as leader of the Bullet Club, he has yet to have the moment where he brings out, you know, the whole faction, and, you know, he walks out with the whole faction and they're supporting him. We've seen that numerous times in Bullet Club's history with the leaders walking out with the whole unit behind them. So I think this would be a great show to have Finlay, you know, walk out with his version of Bullet Club, you know, kind of make some final decisions on who's in, who's out on his side of things, and have him walk out with his army behind him going into this matchup. And two questions here. First from Def Triangle 720. Should Wrestling Dontaku be the night Bullet Club members decrease to a decent size? Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to when I was saying, you know, Finlay should come out with his maybe finalized list. You know, he's been saying he wants, you know, killers. You know, he kicked ELP out, brought Clark Connors in. He's been saying, you know, the Australian guys are out, that Jay and Juice are fake Bullet Club. You know, he's been, you know, laying the law down and kind of, you know, bringing guys in and kicking them out. So I think it would be good for them to establish who's going to be in Finlay's Bullet Club this night. So we know Clark Connors is going to be there. So, you know, if, you know, Chase and Fale and all these other guys are still going to be there, I think it'd be good to establish. I think, you know, they should cut bait, get rid of House of Torture. I think he should make a lot of his moves here post-match and kind of establish who is in the Bullet Club going forward. Another question from Barry Wall says, to really differentiate himself from Jay and really make this new version of BC his own, should Finlay attack Gato and force him out of the club? I mean, that's definitely an interesting angle they could go, but I feel like you know, there's been kind of money with Gato as, you know, the heel mouthpiece of the Bullet Club leader. And Gato's, you know, been kind of pulling the strings all along. So I don't really see that happening. But if it does happen, it would be interesting. And, you know, Josh and I have talked about, you know, Bullet Club kind of going back to its intentions of being a faction of all foreigners. So, you know, yeah, Finlay wants to kind of go that route and kind of get rid of a lot of the domestic guys. I think that could be an interesting twist, but I'm pretty sure Gato's probably going to be sticking around and being his mouthpiece moving forward. Then the big main event for this show, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Sanada, in his first defense, will defend against his former stablemate, the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, the ticking time bomb, Hiromu Takahashi. These guys have had one singles match before. This happened in 2012 when Hiromu was still a young lion and Sanada was representing All Japan Pro Wrestling at the time. So that's the only singles matches they've had, and Sanada won that match back in 2012. But we know the history between these guys and their partnership in LIJ and what's been going on with Sanada leaving LIJ and joining Just Five Guys. Like I mentioned, they've been doing a really great job of building us up on the road to shows. Over the last few years, we've been seeing Hiromu really kind of make this push for heavyweight, and he had an IWGP title match in the summer of 2020 during the pandemic against Evil. He failed to win that title match, and we've been seeing him have some more kind of open weight matches, and trying to mix it up more with heavyweights. And there was a lot of people who really wanted to see him in the G1, especially during like the pandemic time and stuff like that. And this is kind of another kind of step in that direction for all the Hiromu fans who want to see him permanently move to heavyweight. But this is not completely characteristic for a junior champion to challenge for the heavyweight title in the past. Guys like Koji Kanemoto and Prince Devitt, aka Finn Balor, have been junior champions who were all able to challenge for the heavyweight title. So I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I think Hiromu is going to push the pace, and he's going to get a great match out of Sanada. It's a sold-out match. I think this crowd is going to be firmly split. There's going to be big Sanada chants, big Hiromu chants. It should be a great matchup, and I think that Sanada will retain here, go to V1, and start off his world title reign with a big win here over his former running mate here in Hiromu Takahashi. So that is the card. That's my preview and predictions. Like I said, by the time you're hearing this, Dontaku is probably happening or it's happened. You're trying to avoid spoilers, but it should be a great show next week. Josh and Chris will join me. We'll review that show. So really looking forward to seeing how these matches are going to come out and seeing how accurate my predictions are. Now, I'm going to move into the news here. So a couple of big news items here. So first, New Japan has announced a one-night tournament to crown the first Strong Women's Champion. So Mercedes Moné, Willow Nightingale from AEW, Momo Kogo, and Stephanie Baker, I'm not sure how you say her last name, she's from CMLL. They will take part in a tournament at Resurgence on Sunday, May 21st in Long Beach, California, to crown the inaugural NJPW Strong Women's Champion. So in the first round, Moné will take on Baker, and then Nightingale will take on Kogo. And so then the winners will then face off to meet the same night to determine the first Strong Women's Champion. And we had a question here from Def Triangle 720. In the current landscape of New Japan, do you think the Strong titles are necessary anymore? And no, I don't think they are. I mean, we've been saying for a couple weeks now that we think the Strong titles should be, defunct. Vacated or merged into other titles. Like, once the Strong proper TV show ended and they moved into this Strong on-demand strategy and the quality over quantity US pay-per-view style of shows, there was really no need for the Strong titles anymore. There's a U.S. title that should be the main title that's defended on U.S. shows. So I don't think there's a need for a Strong openweight title. Without the weekly show, I don't think there's a need for Strong openweight tag team titles. You now have Aussie Open with both the IWGP and the Strong titles. And there's definitely not a need for a Strong Women's Championship. We just had the creation of the IWGP Women's Championship at the end of last year, and the whole purpose of creating that title was to include more women's matches in the U.S. They said that the IWGP Women's title would be defended on U.S. shows. The Western market is used to both genders being represented on shows, and New Japan wanted their U.S. shows to appeal to the Western audience, and they wanted to book more women on these U.S. shows, and that was the whole purpose and reason behind creating the IWGP Women's title and having Mercedes Moné be the champion, and getting this push to get women's on the show. And now you have a situation now, Mayu Iwatani is the IWGP Women's Champion, and she's based in Japan. And we do know that there were rumors that she initially did not want to win that championship because she did not want to do extra dates in the U.S. unless she was getting paid more to do those dates. And now we have this creation of the Strong Women's Champion, which they say is going to be defended on these U.S. shows. So then, what was the purpose of even creating the IWGP Women's Champion then, if you're going to create the Strong Women's Champion? Again, like I said earlier, there's too many titles in New Japan. I don't think with any of the strong titles, you should be bringing over the IWGP champions to these U.S. shows. The U.S. Championship should be defended. You should just use the heavyweight tag team titles. You use the IWGP Women's title. There's not a need to have the strong titles. I mean, the strong brand is not a strong, recognizable brand. Here in the West, people recognize New Japan Pro Wrestling. They recognize that red and yellow lion mark. They don't recognize that blue, triangle-shaped strong logo. These New Japan shows before Strong were just branded as New Japan Pro Wrestling. And that's what sold tickets, and that's what people wanted. Strong was great in the pandemic, and it was kind of cool to have a weekly U.S. product and to get guys work and to bring in guys that could potentially be transitioned into Japan. But they've moved away from that, and that's cool. That's okay. I'm fine with quality over quantity. But we now have a quantity of titles, and we don't need all these titles. And I don't think we need a strong women's champion. Like, this should be the IWGP Women's Champion should have been coming over here to defend the title. And so I'm sure there are politics and logistics with getting Mayu over, and maybe Mayu's like, sure, I won the title, but I'm not going to do all these U.S. tours. I'm not going to defend that title often. So I'm guessing with that, maybe they felt like they're pressured to create this strong women's title so you can do title matches on these U.S. shows. I think the whole thing is kind of a hot mess, but we'll see how it turns out, and we'll see what the speculation is. I know with Mercedes Moné, she, there's rumors that she's extended her deal, and clearly she has, because, the rumors was she was going to be done after the Mayu match. So, to me, it seems like she would be the one to win this title. But if she is going to win, it makes it even more lack of sense, where it's like, why did you take the IWGP Women's title off her then? Because she could come to the U.S. and defend that IWGP Women's title. So, yeah, not happy with this title creation. But we'll see how the tournament goes, and we'll see what ends up happening with the NJPW Strong Women's Championship. So in other resurgence news, Jon Moxley has been announced for the May 21st Resurgence show. No opponent has been announced for him as of this recording, but Mox once again on a big U.S. show here. In other news, Will Ospreay believes that he will likely work out a new contract with New Japan after his current agreement expires next year. So, last week we talked about his comments in the DAZN interview where he mentioned his deal being up in February of 2024. But Ospreay just made some comments to Dark Pure Resuflosion, and he said that he is confident he and NJPW will reach an agreement and he will remain with New Japan. Ospreay said, "I just want to know what my options are. Doesn't mean I'm leaving NJPW. I'm fairly positive me and NJPW will work out a deal, but in case we don't, I want to provide for my family, wrestle how I want to wrestle, and most importantly, be happy." So there'll be definitely a lot of speculation on what's going to happen with Ospreay in 2024. Is he going to get that bag, that Khan money from Tony Khan, or get that VKM money from Vince, or is he going to stick with New Japan? So we'll see what happens going forward with Ospreay. Tony Khan last week on Dynamite had a big announcement, and that was the return of the Owen Hart Cup. So both the men and women's tournaments will take place between June 25th and July 15th. Khan said at Double or Nothing, which is happening May 28th, there would be an opening ceremony for the tournaments, and the first round matches will take place at Forbidden Door, the cross promotion pay-per-view with New Japan and AEW. And Khan said that the whole tournament will take place in Canada, and noted that Owen Hart had great success in New Japan Pro Wrestling, including winning the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. So it makes all sense to have the tournament start at Forbidden Door. So we'll keep our eyes peeled to see if any New Japan talent will enter the Owen Hart Cup. I'm assuming so, with it kicking off at Forbidden Door. I think it would make a ton of sense to have some, especially have some juniors, top foreign juniors, be in this tournament. Represent the legacy of Owen Hart. I did have a question here from the Lazy Binger. So the confirmation that Forbidden Door would have some Owen Hart tournament matches, it becomes a great tool for AEW and NJPW to book some mid-card dream matches without worrying about storyline setup. So what are some matches you would like to see at Forbidden Door as a part of this tournament? And I'm sorry, Lazy Binger, I'm not in the fantasy booking mindset right now. Let me think about it, and I'll come back to you next week with some potential matchups I would like to see in Forbidden Door in the tournament to kick off this Owen Hart Cup tournament. So that's it for the news. One quick off-topic question here from Barry Walsh, and then we'll wrap things up. So Barry says, something you said last week on the show got me thinking, from a business point of view, would Bushiroad be better off expanding Stardom first rather than NJPW in the US? With WWE and AEW so massive, and then Impact, etc., it's hard to break in. But what big women's feds are there? And not to be sexist, but a lot of US women's wrestling is like men's only at 75% speed. Not all, but a lot. Would bringing Stardom over, especially with Monet currently signed, make more sense, and have Okada, etc., in one or two token matches to hook in existing fans? So rather a single women's match, have one or two men's matches on the Stardom card. Just seems like a less saturated market and could open more eyes and subscriptions to the product. Yeah, Barry, I think Josh and I have mentioned this before, like, they should be doing more standalone Stardom shows to help build the Stardom brand and to build, reputation for the IWGP Women's title. And I guess now the Strong title, I guess that's not, whatever. That's a whole hot mess, but they should be doing more Stardom shows in the US, and I do think there is an untapped market for great women's professional wrestling shows. Shimmer and Shine, were the big kind of standout promotions here in America, where you had all women's shows, and a lot of top talent came from those systems. Mercedes Moné and Bayley and Becky Lynch and a lot of top women wrestled on Shimmer and Shine cards, and Shine is starting back up this summer, but they're nowhere at the level they were before. So yeah, there's definitely I think a market for a top women's promotion to run in America. I think they can do that with Stardom. Obviously, I think again they're going to need some kind of TV deal to kind of help grow that in the West. But I think doing Stardom shows will be a great attraction. I went to my first Stardom show, WrestleMania weekend 2019 in New York. That was my first real exposure to Stardom, and it was an awesome show and got me are hooked in and following the product. So I think that can definitely happen with more US-based shows. Well, going to wrap things up here. So we're going to put a hold on recommended match of the week for next week for when Josh comes back. And thank you for listening, guys, and thank you for bearing with me, man. My throat is it's killing me, guys. It is not easy doing a solo show. So shout out to anybody out there in the podcast space that does solo shows on the regular, man. It's I've been downing the water here. I'm sure you guys have been hearing me clear my throat and my voice going away, but try my best here. Try to give you guys some championship audio here. Hopefully you guys like the show. Give me your feedback. I'm not sensitive. I'm down for some fearless feedback. Let me know what you thought about this solo show. I don't know what. There's definitely probably a lot for me to improve on in solo shows, and probably need a lot more water as if I ever do another one of these long solo shows again. But that's gonna wrap things up. Like I said, next week Chris Sampsa will be joining us to preview Best of Super Junior 30 and to review Wrestling Dontaku. So if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation. Visit socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keepin It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media, on Twitter. The show is at KI Strong Style. You can follow the network at Social Suplex. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan on Facebook. We're facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Instagram, we're at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy. Just Keepin It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy@socialsuplex.com. Check out our Discord server, Social Suplex Podcast Network. And check out all of the shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences, hosted by Caleb Baldwin and Maserati. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Samoitz. The AEW Match Guide Podcast, hosted by Sir Sam Brown. And the Great Match Generator, hosted by Danny Kukler. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keepin It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts. Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
A toast to our new college grad who fills us with so much joy, almost as much as when we're in our RV. Oh, the world is your oyster, kiddo, and ours too. Now that we're covered with Progressive, Dad and I can hop in our RV anytime we want. Might even splurge on a retractable awning. Ooh, look out! Sorry, what was I talking about?
Protect your loved one with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.